So in today's video, I'm doing a ranked list of men's designer releases from 2022 so far. So basically I've got 13 fragrances here and I'm putting them in a list from my least favorite at number 13 to my most favorite at number 1. If you want to find out what they are, please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about designer releases for men. And I don't buy a lot of designer fragrances for men or women, but there are some that I buy. Some blind, some I know about. Some turn out really good, some turn out really bad. That's kind of why I'm putting this list together. And I wanted you to find out what I think about these fragrances from 2022 so far. So why don't we go ahead and get started. The first two fragrances I'm going to talk to you about at number 13 and 12 were featured in my disappointing blind buys video over the weekend. If you haven't caught that video, please go catch it. First one I'm going to talk to you about is John VARVATOS XX Artisan Teal. This to me was really great looking or sounding, even though I knew that there was aquatic marine notes in this particular fragrance. This is the fragrance right here. I gave it a chance because the bottle looks really cool. I really like it. And also the marketing that they did for this particular fragrance was also really great. Sadly though, the fragrance is just not cutting it for me. It's a musk, sea salt, driftwood, pink pepper, water lily, lemon, and rosemary. Those are the notes. And it's definitely one of those very mass-produced men's designer fragrances. So I've smelled this before from other designer fragrances, but this one has its own nuances, but still, when you remove those nuances, you're basically left with the same fragrance. This one, sadly to me, blind buy, very disappointing. So this is John VARVATOS XX Artisan Teal at number 13. Moving on to the house of Ralph Lauren, Polo Blue Parfum. I featured this in my disappointing blind buys video over the weekend as well. And this to me is definitely, and even though there's no it seems like I've smelled before, and I'm not a big fan of the Polo Blue series, but I'm a fan of Parfum concentration fragrances, so this one was exciting, and once again that marketing campaign did a great job. I was really intrigued with the photos, and even though there's no mention of aquatic marine notes in here, I get a major dosage of it, along with like woods and things like citruses and things like that. So there's vetiver, mandarin orange, cardamom, pink pepper, clary sage, lavender, jasmine, olibanum, patchouli. Sadly, as I said, it's that similar kind of a DNA of smell that's in a lot of men's designer fragrances, that once you remove the nuances, you're left with that kind of same, you know, base of a fragrance smelling very similar to other fragrances. So excited for this, but sadly it's disappointing. I don't care for it. That's at number 12. Now, there was a fragrance that launched from Polo, or Ralph Lauren, called Polo Earth. Since this is a men's list and that was a unisex release, I'm not going to feature it, but I felt like Polo Earth was a really solid release. Great fragrance, sort of in the ballpark of something like Mugler Cologne, but I'm not featuring it today because, as I said, this is a men's list and it's not a unisex list. But if you like the sound of Polo Earth, you should definitely get your nose on it, because there is a rumor out there that Mugler's Cologne is discontinued, and I think Polo Earth can be a great alternative for Mugler's Cologne. At number 11, going to the house of GUERLAIN, it's Habit Rouge L'Instinct, this one right here. Yeah, sadly this one is really disappointing to me, and I don't care for it. You know, I had high expectations for this one. I was really anticipating it. I even did an anticipation video because I really love Habit Rouge. I really have been enjoying Habit Rouge, the Eau de Toilette version, and I was a big fan of the Eau de Parfum for a long time. And I kind of thought, you know what, they're going to do something really unique and interesting here. They have done something very sulphuric to me. At least to my nose, I get marine notes and sulphuric kind of seaweed-like qualities here against the woods, amber, vanilla, and citruses that they feature in here. Really a disappointment, really disappointing release. Maybe they don't feature these notes of marine notes or sulfuric notes. Maybe it's different notes, but something is just not working, and to my nose, kind of get like a seaweed quality. So it's a really disappointing fragrance for me. It also doesn't last too long. So anyway, GUERLAIN Habit Rouge L'Instinct is at number 11. At number 10, it is Armani Code Parfum. Yeah, I featured it in a disappointing blind buys video over the weekend as well. And this was a blind buy, and you know, I wanted to love this. I had really, really great expectations for this one. Really was anticipating it because this bottle is freaking fantastic looking. Really sexy bottle. It's also refillable. You know what? I haven't even opened this thing up yet, but yeah, it is a refillable bottle right here. And you know, I was expecting something really intense, and I'm comparing it to the gold standard of parfum fragrances from designers, Dior Homme Parfum, but this one actually doesn't even come close to its density of Dior Homme Parfum. It's a very weak experience, and it just kind of is a boring smell as well. You know, I'm kind of bored of the Armani Code series of fragrances. They've gotten like 20 plus flankers now. This is the 20th, I believe, and I'm kind of tired of it. Tonka beans, cedarwood, iris, clary sage, orris, bergamot, and bergamot leaves. And I think what I want to come to expect from parfum concentration fragrances, please leave out the citruses, at least add maybe a tiny amount of it, because when I sprayed this one and when I was wearing this one, every time I spray it I get lots of freshness, and I think that's what's really kind of creating a kind of a fresh parfum fragrance experience. When I want a parfum, I want the density, the intensity, the deep and rich qualities, which is not something I get from this one. It's not a bad fragrance, as I was saying. I just wanted something higher concentrated, and that's not what I got. So that's why I'm ranking it here at number 10. You might like it more than I do, but Armani Code Parfum at number 10. Moving on to TUMI's KINETIC at number 9. So this is now number 5 fragrance. 6. This is number 6. TUMI KINETIC is 6. Awaken and unwind, and then we've got continuum, and we've got one more, and then we've got this. So KINETIC to me does smell something like Sauvage. Definitely has that kind of ambroxan vibe, and I think also in here I also get a little bit of a Marley Calon kind of a vibe. There's definitely a powderiness here, but it's more amber woody, but not necessarily like real designer amber wood fragrances that I'm complaining about. More like ambroxan amber wood here, similar to Sauvage, as I was saying, the EDT Sauvage. But there's notes of amberwood here, Italian Mandarin, teakwood, sandalwood, olibanum, nutmeg, smoky vanilla, pimento leaves. So it's got the spiciness, and it doesn't have a lot of sweetness. To me, this is not a sweet fragrance, and as they say, smoky vanilla, you're not going to get a very sweet experience. This is definitely not a sweet fragrance. It's definitely woody, spicy, and also musky and ambery. So I'm putting it at number 9. It's not a bad fragrance, but I'm kind of bored of this kind of a fragrance as well, so that's why I'm ranking it here at number 9. Moving on to number 8, this is Burberry Hero in the EDP concentration. So this to me also another one that I was expecting really magnificent stuff from, and to me it kind of seems like it doesn't go there, right? I wanted the pine needles to really shine in this one. It doesn't. It just seems like a denser version of the original fragrance, where when they're crediting pine needles, and I know what pine needles smell like. I've smelled them plenty in fragrances. I don't get it like truly in this particular fragrance. I do get a lot of sweet ambery touches in this particular one, and they also have the trio of cedar woods in this particular, so it's a very woody experience. But one thing I also get in this one is this muskiness. There's a sweaty muskiness here, lightly animalic. I was surprised that I get this kind of lightly animalic quality from a designer fragrance, and I don't know if you guys do as well. And it's kind of a consensus. I've taken a consensus of it. Some people don't, some people do. So it depends on if you're sensitive to the notes or to that kind of an experience. But I definitely get it, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air. But still, I was kind of expecting something a little different and a little better, but I don't have that. So it's Hero EDP from Burberry. Are you a fan of this particular fragrance and the line? Let's see what they do with the Parfum version next. We're going to expect it, and they're going to do it. So we've got the EDT, EDP, Parfum, Elixir. What's after Elixir? God knows. So next up, at number 7, going to the house of Ferragamo, it's Bright Leather. You know, I kind of really do enjoy this one, and this is also the same perfumer as the one for Armani Code. I know what I was getting with this one. It's an eau de toilette concentration. It's a fresh leathery experience. It's very fresh, and I do get an ozonic quality in this one as well. I feel like there's violet leaves in here. You definitely can smell it, but they don't mention the violet leaves in this one. It could be that the notes are kind of smelling like violet leaves, but it's white leather, bergamot, mandarin orange, basil, rosemary, cedar, grapefruit, patchouli, and musk. So if you like the idea of leather, but you don't like it very heavy, you don't like the idea of leather fragrances because it can get smoky, dark, animalic, and things like that, this is a very, very fresh leather, and I feel like it shines in the heat as well. So it's definitely a solid release, but I wouldn't really truly call this like a real leather fragrance. Like if you're looking for a real leather fragrance, ombre leather is probably like the ultimate in designer leather fragrances. But if you like the idea of a fresh leather, very, very pure, white, clean kind of a leather, a bright leather is definitely the right one for you. And I like the name for this, bright leather. It's definitely a bright fragrance. It has a very bright experience, and definitely picking up lots of violet leaves in that one. And as I said, no mention of violet leaves. So this next one is from the house of TUMI, and it's Atlas. We've got two TUMI fragrances launched this year, and I like Atlas more than KINETIC. And what I like about Atlas is it's got this kind of crisp, clean freshness about it, and it's very, very aromatic and spicy, and also definitely citrusy. Lots of citruses here. It wears very cool and crisp, as I said. So if you like the cooling fragrance ideas for summer, this is definitely one for you to try. And it features notes of vetiver, geranium, ginger, grapefruit, cardamom, sandalwood, labdanum, moss, and bergamot. So eventually it becomes ambery and woody in the dry down, but you have that very, very clean, shiny, crisp, ice cold kind of an experience with this one. Atlas is a great scent. I think it's definitely worth having in your collection if you like clean, crisp, fresh fragrances. I still prefer Continuum the most from TUMI, but I think Atlas definitely is great. And the next one also is a kind of a cool, crisp, ice cold kind of an experience as well. At number 5, it's Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron Le Matin, and this is the technicality. Is it a designer? It's been around. It's a brand that's been around for a long time, so I'm putting it here in this kind of a collection. But this one is a very clean, crisp take on the original Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron, and they've added lavender in here, and they've got aromatics of geranium. So it's kind of sort of has a barbershoppy experience, but it's more sharp, clean, crisp aromatics along with ginger. There's definitely a zing here, lots of zing. But you know, you also have petitgrain here, lemon, bergamot, oak moss, gaiac wood, and patchouli. It's a great smelling fragrance, but definitely very sharp. If you like the idea of sharp fragrances, definitely try this one. It doesn't, to me, smell too much like the original Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron, but in the background you might get hints of it. But this is definitely a brand new fragrance going in a different direction, kind of more masculine and more fresh take on Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron. So that is at number 5. It's Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron Le Matin. And then another ice cold fragrance from the house of Hermes. It's the latest Terre de Hermes flanker. It's Eau Givrée. So Eau Givrée is so good, so good. I've been wearing quite a bit of it because it's very clean, fresh, and ice cold. There's a Timut pepper, and Timut pepper has a grapefruity vibe, and there's also citron in here and juniper berry. So whenever you see juniper berry come up, you always get the idea of like gin, clean, crisp, cool. Cooling is the idea, and then you've got that citron in here, and with that Timut pepper, which adds the spiciness and also kind of a grapefruity vibe, creates a kind of a grapefruity experience. It's a great smelling fragrance. I feel like Christine Nagel did a great job on this one, and I think it's a breath of fresh air for Terre de Hermes. I personally don't think it really connects with the Terre de Hermes line, but then again, Eau Très Fraîche didn't either, and they had that in the Eau Très, in the Terre de Hermes line. But this is a really solid release. I think it's a good job that Christine Nagel has done, and I'm putting it at number 4. And if you haven't heard, there is an H24 Eau de Parfum coming out soon. I'm excited for that one, and I've been waiting for that one, and I mentioned as soon as the H24 Eau de Parfum comes out, I think it's going to be a little better than the original. We'll see how it is. But if you haven't heard, that's definitely coming out soon, and I'm anticipating for that one very, very soon. All right, up next, going to the house of Caron once again. This is Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron Le Soir. So here in the Le Soir version versus the Le Matin version, Matin is morning and Soir is night. I believe that's what the differences are. The Le Soir version is a darker take on Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron. This is it right here. And I feel like also this is a little closer to Caron Pour Un Homme de Caron versus the Le Matin. So Le Matin goes into a complete different direction, but this one actually is a little closer, but still different. This is definitely a woody take on the original and powdery. And I'm going to spray some on. I'm not wearing any fragrance today. And yes, this one is a very, very sexy version of Carom Perennium de Carom, because you've got lots of that lavender, but you've got these very sexy woods in here that are really, really great. If you haven't gotten your nose on this one, definitely check it out. I highly recommend this one, but it features lavender, oak, cypress, iris concrete, violet, leaf absolute, ambroxan, tonka beans, and vanilla. So it's got that warmth, it's got that, you know, tonka bean kind of bitter almond, a little powderiness from the iris in here, and then the violet leaf does add the kind of a freshness, needs freshness, so you've got contrasts of freshness and warmth in this particular fragrance. And then of course the lavender is the signature here with the woods. Really, this one I think is a great smell. Really love it. I love wearing it. And for me, it's kind of, I'm not saying it's like Dior Homme. I guess I would say somewhat kind of like perhaps a little inspired, a woody take on Dior Homme with lots of lavender. I would say that's what it is. Really a great scent. I love this one, Carom Perennium de Caron Le Soir at number 3. And the next fragrance is from the house of Tom Ford. It's the new Tom Ford Noir Extreme Parfum. Yeah, this is a good fragrance. I really like it, and they did a great job with this particular fragrance. I'm not going to flash it because it's very reflective, but to me this one seems like it's intensified with the cardamom and the ginger. The ginger's zing, the cardamom's really intense fresh spiciness, that pungent quality of the cardamom. Very beautiful smell, contrasted with kind of lots of woods, and there's definitely a vanillic touch here. They don't credit it, but I get a vanillic touch, but I feel like it's just a very concentrated take on the original, minus the kind of ice creamy pistachio thing with the kulfi that's in the original. But if you like it concentrated, which I do like in fragrances, I really do recommend this. And I think this version versus the original are not that different with prices, and if you go suggested retail. So if you've never bought this and you haven't found the eau de parfum at the discounters, I think I would just go to the parfum, unless you don't like parfum concentration fragrances. But I feel like this is definitely really solid. They did a great job with this one. I really do love it. Tom Ford Noir Extreme Parfum at number 2. Can you guess my number 1? I can't believe this is so good. So good. This is Narciso Rodriguez Blue Noir Parfum. So good. Really great. It's so different than the original Blue Noir. And once again, this goes into that direction of Dior Homme-like smell, Dior Homme Intense-like smell. But first you got the Blue Noir right in your face. The Blue Noir is that kind of vetiver experience. This is the original fragrance, but it deepens and intensifies and becomes powdery, irisy, tonka bean, leathery, and musky. So good. This is really great. I think my top 3 are the best of the best here. Some of the best designer releases. But this, oh my god, I can't believe I discovered this in Paris. I was at the one of the department stores. I smelled it because I've been waiting to smell it, and I was like, wow. I love Dior Homme Intense and Dior Homme Parfum, and this is definitely going in that direction. Really a great release. Narciso Rodriguez Blue Noir Parfum is at number 1, and that's pretty much the rank list of men's designer fragrance releases from 2022 so far. And again, I don't buy every single men's designer release because I don't really love them. There's some bad blind buys here and some good blind buys, and of course, you know, stuff that I smelled before and loved a lot. Anyway, those are my thoughts today. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below, but do also let me know if you like these fragrances or not, and how would you rank this list if you had every single one of them. That's of course if you've smelled everything. Either way, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.